Rev up your engines. All right, what could possibly be inside this trailer from Texas? Man, oh man, it is a Nash Metropolitan. My uncle had the same exact car. I'll take that back. This is actually a Hudson Metropolitan because originally it was a Hudson, and then Hudson and Nash merged, and most of them were Nash Metropolitans. Now, technically, they're American cars, but these babies were made in England, every single one of them. Let's see if this thing starts up. Now we know it's an English car. Here we go, I can smell the gasoline, and here it comes. You can see it's a Texas car. It's got horns on it. Well, I certainly got the bull by the horns here. Now, this thing still has a lot of original equipment parts. Didn't come with the car, he had to buy them. He got it as kind of a real stripped down car, and he's gradually doing it all over. You can see the guy did a good job on the seats, good job on the paint job. Now, this was originally a hard top. They cut it off, and they're working on fixing that. See, the speedometer is an optimistic 85 miles an hour. Well, they claim they could cruise at 50 and maybe make it to 70 if you're going down into the Grand Canyon or something, but these weren't race cars. Tree on the column, 3-speed standard transmission. Handbrakes, well, this really is a handbrake, like in an old train. This is when the high beam was done with your left foot. Pretty basic car here. He gets the white wall tires from Coker, so it looks stock. People loved these little cars. Now, they're technically American cars. They're made for the American market. Uncle Billy had a car just like this, only his was a Nash, this is a Hudson. They're the same cars, they're made in England, but like I said, Hudson and Nash merged, then they started to call them Nashes instead. It's the same exact car, they didn't change much in them. This is the larger 1500cc engine. It still pretty much will max out at 50 miles an hour cruising if you're going to cruise for any length of time. But when he bought this thing, it didn't have an engine in it, and he got a real deal. He went to a guy to get some parts to get the bumper, and the guy had this engine sitting around. The guy was going out of business, and he got it for like 300 bucks. What a deal. Now, these are the type of cars that it's not like you're restoring a 67 Mustang, right? They're not $100,000 cars. You can have a lot of fun with these cars because they're unique and they're not insanely popular like Mustangs or like 57 Chevys where there goes sell your house to buy it, you know? He doesn't have to put a ton of money in this thing and have a lot of fun. Now you might wonder, well, you see, it gets very cold in England. The heat of the engine will keep you warm as you're driving down the road. Actually, he's fixing the heater core on it. That's where it goes, to get heated in the winter. It is open, but you still got a lot of heat from the engine coming out. Now, speaking of the engine, this looks old because originally it was an oil bath filter. There was oil and metal shavings in here, and the oil would filter the air, but he's replaced it with a regular air filter, which makes a lot of sense. Also added an oil catch can to make it a better vehicle so it won't be sucking a bunch of oil in and ruining everything, and then you just drain that every once in a while, and you can see simplicity. There's the fuel pump, mechanical, couple of bolts hold it in, goes up here, and this is a Zenith carburetor. It's a modern enough carburetor. Now, you saw it took a while to get started. They're kind of temperamental, right? When I was a kid, I had English motorcycles, and they were really temperamental. But I tuned them just right for me for high speed. I didn't care about low speed. And those had what are called tickler valves. Dual carbs, they had a little tickler valve. You push the valve until gasoline leaked out, and then the other side, you push it till a little gasoline leaked out. That primed gasoline in the engine, and then when you kicked it, it would start up. And then they always start up that way, of course. It'd be totally illegal these days, dumping gas on the ground and all that stuff. But you can see it's got a starter there, it's got a distributor, and it's got a generator. Like they say, history turns around, it's all circular. Cars originally had generators. The generators spin, generated electricity. They worked fine, except at low speeds and idle, they didn't charge enough to run a lot of stuff. If you'd put a boombox setup in this, it would drain everything out. When you're idling around, the battery would go dead, right? So, the modern cars have alternators, but these work perfectly fine. When I was a kid, first car I had was an Opel. It had a generator, and the only thing I ever did was every so many years I'd pop the back off, I'd put new brushes. They have brushes that touch spin around, the brushes wear out, and then you got to put new ones in. And even in those days, they're only like $2.50. It wasn't much. Where's the battery? Hey, look, it's a batteryless car. No, it isn't. The battery's hiding over here. Underneath that panel, there is a battery. And there it is. And look, it looks to me like it's a 12-volt battery. But all English cars, you know, think about old English cars, they're positive ground. The positive grounds the car and the negative feeds the car. He switched this thing around to negative ground, which makes a lot more sense. Interestingly enough, though, if you want to talk about electrical history, the English all had positive grounding systems, and they used the negative wires to power stuff. Well, if you know anything about modern computerization of cars, most of the computer modules and stuff, they use grounding circuits to run a lot of stuff. So maybe the English were ahead of their times. Who knows? Now, I love the boat shape of this thing. It's kind of like something from Flash Gordon, if you want to do a little Googling about science fiction in the past. And nothing beats chrome. And he was telling me, okay, these are replicas. These aren't the original lights, they're replicas. But they're replicated so well, they still say made in England. Well, as we look around, he did a really good job. You don't find welders like that anymore. Well, the welder was in Rome, Texas. There's a lot of Texans out there that know what they're doing. These old cars, it's a pull start. You turn the key on like an airplane, you pull start it. Look at that, started right up this time. Second time's a charm. Got the turn signal, left and right on the steering wheel. The horn blows. Amazing for an English car, isn't it? Here we go out to the racetrack, but we'll never catch that Z car in a million years unless he runs into something. Well, this brings back memories riding around my uncle's Metropolitan, even though his was a Nash and not a Hudson. It's the same exact car, and you can hear the English gears with a little crunching in, synchro mesh in English. They didn't do that hot in first gear with their synchro meshes. They're notorious for that. But it went in. It still got a pretty smooth ride. Hey, and the idle isn't bad either. It's pretty smooth. And here we go. We're off to the drag races. And guess what? It goes 0 to 60 miles an hour in less than 2 minutes. Not 2 seconds. There's nothing like riding in an English sports car. You don't have to go fast to have fun in these. The big question is, will it make it up the hill with the two of us in it? And it's groaning, but it's making it so far. We're in second gear now. It's still going. We're not going to set any land speed records, mind you. Pushing that window glass and stuff, but he's working on fixing all that stuff. And I guarantee you it'll sound like an old English car. Yes, it makes that distinctive clunk. Gotta say, for a car in the 1950s, hey, this thing is stylish. Even today, it's kind of like a comeback car. It's certainly aerodynamic, and yes, it got good gas mileage when it was new. If you're driving this thing 34 miles an hour, I don't know why they rated it at that this thing actually will get 39 miles a gallon. Now, it's only made for really cruising, they admit. The max of about 50. They say it'll go 70, but it's max with a 3-speed about 50 miles an hour. But hey, back in the day, in the 50s, do you have any idea the horrible gas mileage that cars got? If you're getting in the high 30s, that was phenomenal. That makes me want to go out and get one. I like the British Racing Green, the wide tires, the big Metropolitan hubcaps. He figures he's probably got about 15 grand total in it. And where are you going to find something like this unless you join a Metropolitan fan club and get together with a bunch of the guys, people that do that all the time? I mean, once you get them running, they're actually quite dependable. As long as you don't try to drive them 70 miles an hour all the time, you'll wear everything out. But 3-speed, 4-cylinder engine, 1500 cc's. Hey, and for me, it's a blast from the past. My uncle in Medina, New York, had one, and hilariously enough, we came in with my father's 3-on-the-tree Ford, and it said 110 miles an hour, and he said no car could go 100 miles an hour. We said, oh yeah, come on in. We took him out the country road. We were doing 105. And that really shook him up, because that 70's about it for these downhill, and the Ford V8, it'd do about 106, 108 miles an hour. Same year, same exact year. Times are changing, but hey, I think this thing passed the test of time. A beautiful little car, so fun to ride around in. And hey, You don't see too many of these going down the road anymore. He bought it in Yankton, Texas, so the reason he bought it, because it was missing a lot of parts, engine and stuff, but it was pretty rust-free. So if you're looking for one of these, go to Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, whatever, Nevada. You find them in a nice dry state. Everybody knows English cars are rust buckets. Don't go to Buffalo or Cleveland to buy one unless it's in a museum. But you find a dry one and you start fixing it up like he did, you can still get stuff for him, have a lot of fun with a little car like this. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.